Ted Alden, Catherine Rampell makes the wonderful distinction of mercantilism of finished goods versus mercantilism of non-finished goods, of import goods. It's sort of like cotton versus shoes. Don't do the MMR right now. Bring it up if you would, Riley, just so we can show it. But Ted, this idea of finished goods versus imports, the president's doing this all wrong, right?
I think there's no question, and you don't even have to go all the way back to 1680 to make that argument. I mean, even 30 years ago, most supply chains were domestic, and then a country would export one product and import another. We live in a world now of global supply chains, and all of our manufacturers here in the United States are dependent on intermediate good imports of different sorts. I mean, you look at the retaliation list that's been drawn up for China, for example, really shooting ourselves in the foot, because most of that is intermediate goods, and that hurts manufacturers here in the United States. I think it's a lot harder to use the tariff tool effectively, even than it was 30 years ago during the U.S.-Japan trade battles, simply because of that degree of interconnectedness in the global economy now.
What is your advice to Chancellor Merkel? You get on a plane, you and Richard Haass go over, you do a junket in Germany, whatever you're going to do, you make some speeches, you have a cup of coffee or a beer with the Chancellor. What do you tell her?
I think you've got to couple the retaliation. I think they have no choice politically but to retaliate. But I think you stop there, and then you try to go forward with a series of positive initiatives. Encourage the United States to re-engage at the WTO. Push the trade negotiation argument, the TTIP argument again. Work with allies to try to persuade the U.S. to get back on board. It's not going to be easy because the Trump administration isn't terribly interested. But I think you have to couple the retaliation with a positive, forward-looking trade agenda and try to move on both those fronts.
Right, but Ted, what are the chances of a Plaza Accord for trade? Right, the Chinese will want to get involved. The Indians will want to get involved. I mean, this is on a worldwide scale something that could be discouraging for world growth.
Yeah, I think the chances of that are very weak at the moment. And I do think this could well be discouraging for world growth. The markets aren't really showing that yet particularly, but there is the potential here for escalation and uncertainty. There's not a lot of leadership right now. Everybody said, okay, the era of U.S. leadership is gradually going to wane, but nobody thought it would end this quickly and this abruptly. And I think the rest of the world is really struggling with how to react. And so there's sort of a leadership vacuum in the global economy of a sort that there wasn't when the Plaza Accords were done in the 1980s.